The huge alien ship appeared in the sky above Earth without warning. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built, dark and covered with sharp edges that made it look like a floating mountain of metal. People all over the world looked up and felt afraid. Some ran to be with their families. Others watched the news and waited to see what would happen. In the main meeting room of the United Earth Defense Force Base, Commander Frank Miller rubbed his tired eyes. He hadn't slept since. The alien ship arrived 2 days ago. The room was full of military officers and government leaders, all talking over each other. "Everyone quiet down," Frank said. His voice wasn't loud, but people listened to him. He was tall with gray hair at his temples and a face that showed both kindness and strength. "Dr. West will explain what we know so far." Dr. Olivia West stood up. She was the best xenobiologist on Earth, which meant she studied alien life. Her curly brown hair was pulled back, and her blue eyes looked serious behind her glasses. "The aliens call themselves Dracorians," she said. "They've been sending radio messages for the past 6 hours. They say they come in peace and want to talk." A general laughed. "That's what they all say in the movies before they attack." Frank shook his head. "If they wanted to attack, they could have done it already. Their weapons are far beyond ours." The president of the United World Council spoke up. "We need to respond. Commander Miller, Dr. West, you two will meet with them. You leave in 1 hour." As they prepared to board the small ship that would take them to the alien vessel, Frank noticed how calm Olivia seemed. "Aren't you scared?" he asked. She smiled. Slightly. Terrified, but also excited. "We're about to meet beings from another world, Frank. Real aliens." The journey to the massive alien ship took 30 minutes. As they got closer, they could see that the dark metal was covered in strange symbols and had a reddish glow in some places. Their small ship was guided into an opening that appeared in the side. When the door opened, Frank and Olivia stepped out into a room with high ceilings and walls that seemed to shift color slightly, like oil and water. The air smelled different. Not bad, just strange, with hints of something like cinnamon and metal. Then the Dracorians entered. Frank had to stop himself from reaching for his gun. The aliens were huge, at least 7 feet tall. They walked on. 2 legs, but looked like a mix between dinosaurs and lions. Their bodies were covered in scales that shifted between dark green and bronze. They had powerful jaws with sharp teeth and claws that clicked against the floor as they walked. Their eyes were yellow with vertical pupils, like a cat's. 3 of them approached. The one in front wore a kind of metal armor with glowing red lines running through it. "I am Scale Lord CareHFY," the lead alien said. Its mouth didn't match the words exactly. It must have been using some kind of translator. "I speak for the Dracorian Empire." Frank stepped forward. "Commander Frank Miller of Earth. This is Dr. Olivia West, our chief scientist. We welcome you to our system." The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Your bravery is noted, human. Most species tremble when they first meet us." "We're trembling on the inside," Olivia said with surprising confidence. "But we're curious, too." The alien seemed to appreciate her honesty. "Good. Fear is wise when meeting predators, but courage is respected." Another Dracorian stepped forward, this one wearing less armor and something that looked like scientific equipment. "I am Vex Healer Shrika. We have come a great distance seeking help." This surprised both humans. Of all the reasons they had imagined for the alien visit, asking for help wasn't one of them. "What kind of help?" Frank asked carefully. Scale Lord CareHFY's expression changed. Even on an alien face, Frank could recognize sadness. "Our young are dying," the alien leader said. "A genetic plague spreads through our breeding worlds. Nothing we have tried stops it. Our scientists detected something in human biology that might hold the answer." Olivia stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overtaking her fear. "May I ask what specifically you found interesting about our biology?" The alien scientist, Shrika, touched something on her wrist. A hologram appeared in the air between them, showing complex patterns of DNA and cellular structures. "Your immune systems," Shrika said. "They function differently than any species we have encountered, and your brains produce unique patterns when nurturing your young." Frank and Olivia exchanged glances. This was not the conversation they had expected to have with fearsome alien predators. "We would like to show you," CareHFY said. He made a gesture, and a side door opened out. Another Dracorian entered, but this one was smaller, about the size of a human child. It was clearly a young one, with brighter scales and bigger eyes, but it moved slowly and seemed weak. Its scales looked dull in places. Behind it came another young one, carried in the arms of its parent. This cub was even sicker, its breathing labored. Something unexpected happened then. The sick cub saw Olivia and made a soft chirping sound. It reached out one small clawed hand toward her. Without thinking, Olivia stepped forward. The parent Dracorian tensed but allowed her to approach. The cub chirped again, seeming calmer as Olivia got closer. "This is strange," Shrika said, checking a device. "The cub's stress hormones are decreasing. This happened in our initial tests with human biological samples, but seeing it in person... Frank watched as the sick cub seemed to relax in the presence of Olivia. The parent Dracorian looked both hopeful and confused. "We have traveled to 12 worlds across 3 galaxies," CareHFY said quietly. "Nowhere have our cubs responded like this to another species. Something about humans calms them, strengthens them." Olivia looked from the cub to the massive predatory. "Aliens who had come all this way. You're asking us to help save your children?" CareHFY's yellow eyes held hers. "Yes, and in return, we offer alliance, technology, protection. The Dracorian Empire has conquered worlds for less." Frank stepped forward. "We don't need conquering as motivation to help children, even alien ones." For the first time, the Dracorian leader seemed truly surprised. He looked at the other aliens, then back at the humans. "Then perhaps," CareHFY said slowly, "we have found something even more valuable than a cure." 6 months passed since the Dracorians first arrived on Earth. In the Nevada desert, far from any city, humans and aliens built a research center. The building was huge, with special areas made to feel like the Dracorian home world. Scientists from both species worked day and night to find a cure for the plague killing the alien. Cubs. Dr. Olivia West sat in her office, looking at test results on her computer screen. She had dark circles under her eyes from working too many hours. The door opened, and she looked up to see Paul Griffin, one of the nurses who helped care for the Dracorian cubs brought to Earth. For study. Paul was a big man with gentle hands and a calm voice. Before the aliens came, he worked in a children's hospital. Now he spent his days looking after young Dracorians. "You should get some sleep, Dr. West," he said, placing a cup of coffee on her desk. Olivia sighed. "I can't. We're missing something important. The cubs in the medical wing aren't getting better fast enough." Paul sat down across from her. "That's actually why I came to see you. Have you checked on the cubs in the daycare area recently?" She shook her head. The research facility had 2 areas for the young Dracorians: the medical wing where sick cubs received treatments, and the daycare area where healthier cubs stayed. "You need to see this," Paul said. They walked together through the long hallways of the facility. Humans and Dracorians passed them, still awkward around each other despite months of working together. The aliens were getting used to being around humans, but many still showed their teeth when startled. Paul used his key card to open the door to the daycare area. Inside, the room looked like a mix between a kindergarten and a jungle. There were climbing structures, soft areas to rest, and toys designed for creatures with claws. But what surprised Olivia was how active the cubs were. 10 young Dracorians ran around the room, climbing and play fighting. Their scales shone with health, and they made happy chirping sounds. 2 human caregivers sat among them, and the cubs would often run to the humans for attention before going back to play. "They're thriving," Olivia said in amazement. "These cubs were sick when they arrived last month." Paul nodded. "That's what I wanted you to see. The cubs here are getting better much faster than the ones in the medical wing. And I think I know why." He pointed to a small female cub who was curled up asleep next to a human caregiver named Linda. The woman gently stroked the cub's head while reading a book. "It's us," Paul said simply. "Human contact. The more time they spend with human caregivers, the faster they recover." Olivia's scientific mind raced with possibilities. "We need to run tests. Can you gather data on how much human contact each cub receives and compare it to their recovery rates?" Paul smiled, already did. He handed her a tablet with charts and numbers. Cubs who spend at least 4 hours a day in direct contact with humans show 70% faster recovery. For the next 2 weeks, Olivia and her team ran every test they could think of. They measured human brain waves, hormone levels, and even the microscopic particles humans naturally released into the air. They compared these to the cub's health. Data. Vexhealer Shrika, the lead Dracorian scientist, found Olivia in the lab late one night. The alien was taller than any human, with scales that shifted between dark green and bronze in the light. Despite her fearsome appearance, Olivia had come to respect her brilliant mind. "You have found something," Shrika said. It wasn't a question. Olivia nodded and pulled up images on the large screen. 2 things, actually. First, human pheromones chemicals we release into the air have a calming effect on Dracorian cubs. When calm, their immune systems work better. Shrika moved closer to the screen, her claws clicking on the floor. And the second thing? Brain waves. Olivia showed a scan of a human brain next to a Dracorian brain. When humans care for young young, even yours, we produce these specific patterns. She pointed to colorful areas on the human brain scan. These waves somehow trigger healing responses in your cubs. Shrika was quiet for a long time, studying the images. This makes no biological sense. Why would our young respond to the brain? Patterns of an alien species? I have a theory, Olivia said carefully. It's about being predators. The Dracorian turned her yellow eyes to Olivia. Explain. Dracorians evolved as apex predators, always alert for threats or prey. Your brains are constantly producing low levels of stress hormones. It's perfect for survival and war, but terrible for healing, Shrika finished, understanding dawning in her eyes. And humans? We're omnivores. We can be aggressive, but we can also completely relax in ways your species cannot. When we care for young, we enter a special mental state that's deeply calm and nurturing. Your cubs sense this and respond to it. Shrika made a rumbling sound in her chest that Olivia had learned meant deep thought. Our own nature harms our children, she finally said. This will be difficult for my people to accept. The next day, they presented their findings to Scale Lord Kirak and Commander Frank Miller. The meeting room was tense as Olivia explained what they had discovered. You are saying that humans must care for our young? Kirak asked, his voice low and dangerous. Frank stepped forward, not permanently, but during their illness, yes. Human contact helps them heal. Kirak stood up to his full height, making everyone in the room tense. Dracorians were still frightening, even after months of working together. For generations, the Dracorian Empire has conquered and ruled. Now we must ask aliens to nurse our children. It is ... double quotes. He struggled for the word. ... humbling. No one spoke. The proud predator paced the room, his claws leaving small marks on the floor. Finally, he turned to Olivia. "Show me." She led him to the daycare area. Through a window, they watched as Paul sat on the floor, reading a story to 3 Dracorian cubs. The little ones were curled around him, totally relaxed, their scales glowing with health. One cub noticed Kirak and chirped happily, running to the window. The alien leader placed one massive clawed hand against the glass. The cub did the same from the other side, its tiny hand a perfect miniature of its parents. "They are happy," Kirak said softly. "Healthy." He turned to Olivia, and for the first time, she saw something new in those alien eyes. Hope. "What must we do?" he asked. 1 year later, the program officially began. It had a long name, the Interspecies Nurturing Initiative. But most people just called it the Cub Program. Hundreds of Dracorian families sent their sick cubs to Earth for care. The cubs would stay with human foster families during their most vulnerable years, from about age 3 to 7 in human terms. In a small house with a big backyard in Oregon, Lisa Bennett prepared for her new foster child. Lisa was a kindergarten teacher with kind eyes and a warm smile. Her house was cozy, with soft furniture and colorful pictures on the walls. She had taken special classes to learn about Dracorian cubs, what they ate, how they played, and the ways they were different from human children. Today was the day her foster cub would arrive. Lisa felt nervous, but excited as she watched the clock. When she heard the special shuttle land nearby, her heart beat faster. The doorbell rang. Lisa opened the door to find a tall Dracorian warrior standing there. Next to the warrior was a small cub. The little one had bright copper-colored scales and big yellow eyes that looked up at Lisa with curiosity. "I am War Master Draz, the adult," Dracorian said in a rumbling voice. "This is my son, Kral." Lisa smiled and knelt down to be at eye level with the cub. "Hello, Kral. I'm Lisa. Welcome to my home." The cub chirped softly and took a step toward her. His father watched carefully, clawed hands opening and closing at his sides. Lisa could tell he was nervous too. "May we come in?" Draz asked. "I would like to see where my son will stay." Lisa showed them around the house. She had prepared a special room for Kral, with climbing structures built into the walls and a heated sleeping area that felt like his home world. Draz inspected everything carefully, asking many questions. When they reached the backyard, Kral made happy sounds. He ran to the small jungle gym Lisa had set up and climbed it easily with his claws. "He seems to like it," Lisa said. Draz nodded. "He has been sick for many months. This is the most energy I have seen from him in a long time." The warrior's voice was still rough, but Lisa heard the love in it. When it was time for Draz to leave, the tough warrior knelt and touched his forehead to his son's. They spoke quietly in their own language. Then Draz stood and faced Lisa. "Our people have a saying," he told her. "The one who guards your cub holds your heart in their hands." He placed his huge clawed hand over his chest. "My heart I leave with you, Lisa Bennett of Earth." After Draz left, Lisa and Kral looked at each other. The little Dracorian seemed unsure what to do. "Are you hungry?" Lisa asked. She had learned some words in his language too. "Food?" Kral chirped and followed her to the kitchen. The first few days were difficult. Kral missed his family and didn't understand many human things. He accidentally broke dishes with his claws and got scared during a thunderstorm. But Lisa was patient. Each day got a little better. Lisa decided to record videos of their daily life together. She thought it might help other human foster parents and show the Dracorians how their cubs were doing on Earth. She bought a small camera that followed them around the house and yard. The videos showed Kral learning to be careful with his claws when playing with toys. They showed Lisa teaching him English words, and him teaching her Dracorian sounds. They showed the cub getting healthier day by day, his scales becoming brighter and his energy growing. When Lisa shared these videos online, they became very popular. Humans were fascinated by the little alien living in a normal house. Dracorians watched closely, amazed to see their young ones thriving among aliens they once considered only as potential enemies. Soon, other foster parents started sharing their own videos. The world watched as human families welcomed cubs into their homes. They saw the cubs playing with human children in parks, going to special schools, and celebrating Earth holidays. Each video showed the cubs getting healthier, but something unexpected started happening to the human caregivers too. Lisa noticed it first when she was in her backyard gardening with Craw. The cub suddenly froze and stared at the sky, making a warning sound Lisa had never heard before. A moment later, Lisa felt a strange new awareness come over her. She knew somehow. She just knew that danger was coming. She grabbed Craw and ran inside the house. Less than a minute later, a tree branch crashed down exactly where they had been sitting. Lisa called Dr. Olivia West that evening. It was the strangest thing, she told the scientist. It felt like I could sense the danger before it happened. Dr. West wasn't surprised. You're the fifth foster parent to report something like this. We think it's connected to the psychic bond Dracorian parents form with their young. When you care for Craw, his father's protective instincts somehow extend to you. This new discovery made the program even more interesting to both species. Humans who cared for Dracorian cubs gained enhanced senses and protective instincts. It wasn't enough to make them superhuman, but it gave them split-second advantages in dangerous situations. 3 months after Craw came to live with her, Lisa's town was hit by a powerful storm. The Weather Service gave only a short warning about possible strong winds, but Lisa woke up feeling deeply uneasy. The feeling grew stronger until she was certain something terrible was about to happen. She called her neighbors and told them to come to her house, which was on higher ground. Some thought she was overreacting, but those who knew about her foster cub came quickly, bringing their children. When the storm hit, it was much worse than predicted. A flash flood swept through the lower part of town, destroying several homes. But everyone who had listened to Lisa was safe. News of what happened spread quickly. Other human foster parents reported similar experiences, knowing about dangers just in time to avoid them. Scientists studied this phenomenon and confirmed that it was real. The protective bond between Dracorian parents and their young somehow extended to the human caregivers. What had started as humans helping sick alien cubs was becoming something much more important. Two species from different worlds were forming connections that no one had imagined possible. The proud Dracorian warriors, who had conquered dozens of worlds, now watched with amazement as their children bonded with humans. And the humans, who had feared the fearsome aliens at first, discovered new abilities within themselves through caring for the cub's dot. As Lisa tucked Craw into his heated sleeping nest one night, the cub looked up at her with his big yellow eyes. "Lisa," he said in his rumbling little voice, "are you my second mother now?" Lisa smiled and gently touched his scaly head. "If you want me to be." Craw made a happy chirping sound and curled up to sleep. Lisa watched him for a moment, thinking about how much had changed in just 1 year. She had started out simply wanting to help a sick child. Now she was part of something that was changing 2 entire species and how they saw each other. 3 years passed. The program grew bigger. More than 2,000 Dracorian cubs now lived with human families across Earth. The sick cubs got better. The healthy cubs grew strong. Both humans and Dracorians learned from each other, and most were happy with the program. But not everyone liked aliens on Earth. A group of humans called Earth First thought that aliens were dangerous. They held protests near the centers where Dracorian ships landed. They said humans shouldn't help creatures who might one day attack Earth. Most people ignored them. Lisa Bennett and Crow, now 7 years old, didn't worry about the protesters. Crow had grown a lot. His copper scales were bright and healthy. He was smart and curious, learning both human and Dracorian ways. One morning, Lisa was making breakfast when her phone rang. It was Olivia West, the scientist who helped start the program. "Lisa, turn on the news," Olivia said. Her voice sounded scared. Lisa turned on the TV. Her hands shook when she saw what was happening. The Earth First group had attacked 5 nurturing centers during the night. Buildings were on fire. People were hurt. And worst of all, some human caregivers and Dracorian cubs had been killed. "Oh no," Lisa whispered. She looked over at Crow, who was watching the TV with his yellow eyes wide. "What's happening?" he asked in his rumbling voice. Before Lisa could answer, a new alert flashed on the screen. Breaking news. Dracorian battle fleet enters Earth orbit. Lisa felt cold fear run through her body. The Dracorians were the most powerful warriors in the galaxy. If they attacked Earth because of what happened, millions would die. Her phone rang again. This time it was Commander Frank Miller. "Lisa, we need your help," he said quickly. "The Dracorian fleet is ready to attack. They say we broke our promise to protect their young. War Master Draz is leading the fleet, and he's demanding to see his son." Lisa looked at Crow. "We'll be there as soon as possible." A military helicopter picked them up 30 minutes later. As they flew toward the main Earth Defense headquarters, Lisa could see the Dracorian ships in the sky. They were huge and dark, floating like angry storm clouds above the city. Crow pressed his face to the window. "Father is up there," he said. "He is very angry. I can feel it." When they arrived at headquarters, soldiers rushed them inside. In the main room, screens showed the Dracorian ships. Military officers talked urgently with each other. In the center of the room stood Commander Miller and Dr. West. "Lisa, thank goodness," Dr. West said. "The Dracorians have activated their warrior protocols. It's an ancient part of their biology. When their young are threatened, they become more aggressive than normal." Commander Miller pointed to the main screen. "Their weapons are ready to fire. We're trying to talk to them, but they're not listening. They want proof that the cubs are safe." Lisa nodded. "Then let's show them." The communications team set up a direct video link to the Dracorian fleet. Lisa stood in front of the camera with Crow beside her. When the connection opened, they saw War Master Draz on the screen. His face looked different than Lisa remembered. His scales were darker, and his eyes burned with rage. "Father," Crow called out in his own language. Draz's expression changed slightly when he saw his son. "Crow, you are well?" "I am well, Father. Lisa has kept me safe." Lisa stepped forward. "War Master Draz, what happened was terrible. But it was a small group of bad humans who did this. Most of us care deeply about your children." Draz's eyes narrowed. "Pretty words. But my cousin's cub was killed last night. Many cubs were hurt. The promise is broken." Commander Miller joined them on camera. "We will punish those responsible. We ask for time to show you that Earth stands with the Dracorians." For a moment, it seemed like Draz might listen. Then another Dracorian appeared on screen, an older one with battle scars across his face. "The time for talking is over," the older warrior said. "They killed our young. Our honor demands blood." The screen showed more Dracorian ships moving into attack positions. People in the room began to panic. Lisa knew she had to do something. She turned to Crow and knelt down to his level. "Crow, I need your help," she said quietly. "Can you tell your father and the other warriors what you've learned here on Earth?" Crow looked scared but brave. He nodded and faced the camera again. Honored warriors of the Dracorian Empire, he began in his language. Lisa didn't understand all the words, but she could tell he was speaking formally, like an adult. I am Kral, son of War Master Draz. I speak of my time on Earth. The room grew quiet as the young Dracorian spoke. He told about living with Lisa, about getting healthy and strong. He described playing with human children, learning in human schools, and how his human foster mother had sensed danger to protect him. The humans who hurt our people are few, Kral said. The humans who help us are many. Lisa Bennett is my second mother now. If you attack Earth, you attack those who have cared for us. When he finished speaking, he reached up and took Lisa's hand in his clawed one. On the screen, War Master Draz was silent. The older scarred warrior spoke again. The cub speaks well, but my grand cub died last night. What justice will there be? Now it was Commander Miller who stepped forward. General Vrakash, I understand your pain. Let us work together to find the criminals. Let Dracorian warriors join our police forces to hunt them down. We can have justice without war. The room held its breath as the Dracorian leaders talked among themselves. Finally, Draz turned back to the camera. My son calls a human his second mother. He said slowly, This is ... unexpected. In our history, no Dracorian has ever said this of another species. He looked at General Vrakash, who gave a small nod. We will not attack, Draz announced. Instead, we will send our elite warriors to work with human authorities. Together, we will find those who harmed our young. Everyone in the room sighed with relief. Lisa hugged Kral tightly. Thank you, she whispered to the young Dracorian. Kral looked up at her with his bright yellow eyes. You taught me that being strong doesn't always mean fighting. Sometimes it means finding a better way. Over the next few weeks, Dracorian warriors worked alongside human police. They found the Earth First leaders and brought them to justice. Both species mourned those who had died, and they built a memorial together. What could have been a terrible war became instead a stronger bond between humans and Dracorians. The program continued, with even more families from both species taking part, and Lisa Bennett kept making her videos, showing the galaxy what was possible when different species learned to trust each other. 20 years passed since the Dracorians first came to Earth. The first group of cubs who grew up with human foster parents were now adults. They were different from other Dracorians in interesting ways. They still had all the strength and fighting skills of their people, but they also understood humans better than any Dracorians before them. Kral, once a sick cub in Lisa Bennett's care, was now a tall, powerful Dracorian with bright copper scales. At 27 years old, he was young for a Dracorian, but already important among his people. Today, he wore formal armor with glowing blue lines as he stood before the Dracorian High Council. The council chamber was huge, with walls of dark metal and seats for the 12 oldest and most respected warriors of the Empire. Kral's father, War Master Draz, sat among them, his scales now showing gray with age. Kral, son of Draz, you have asked to speak before the council, said the head counselor, an ancient female Dracorian named Vaska. We will hear you. Kral stepped forward. His voice was deep and strong, but those who knew him well could hear a gentleness not common among his kind. Honored Council, I come with a new idea. The cub program with humans saved many of our young, including myself. Now I believe we can do more. He touched a control on his wrist, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed different alien species from across the galaxy. I propose the nurturing exchange protocol, not just between Dracorians and humans, but between many species, each sharing in the care of the other's young. The council members shifted in their seats. Some looked interested, others doubtful. You suggest we should let even more aliens care. For our cubs? One counselor asked. No, Crow said. I suggest something more important. That we should also care for the young of other species. This caused a stir. Dracorians had never been known as caregivers. They were warriors, conquerors, hunters. Explain, Vasca demanded. When humans cared for us, they gained some of our protective abilities. What might we gain from caring for others? What might all species learn from each other? The humans showed. Use that different biology can be a strength, not a weakness. The council debated for many hours. In the end, they agreed to let Crowl try his idea as a small test program. Back on Earth, Lisa Bennett was now 65 years old. Her hair had turned gray, and she walked more slowly than before. She had retired from teaching, but still lived in the same house with the big backyard. Though Crowl had returned to his people years ago, they stayed in touch through video calls. One morning, Lisa received a message that made her heart beat faster. Crowl was coming to visit, and he had important news. When his ship landed nearby, Lisa waited on her porch. She smiled when she saw him walking toward her house. No matter how big and powerful he looked now, she would always remember the small cub who once needed her care. Lisa Mother, he said, using the special title he had given her long ago. He bent down so she could hug him, careful with his armor. They sat together on the porch, and Crowl told her about the council's decision and his new program. It's wonderful, Lisa said. But why come tell me in person? Crowl's yellow eyes seemed to shine. Because you started it all. And because I need your help again. The first species to join our program are arriving next week. They are called the Valkyrie. He showed her a picture on his device. The Valkyrie looked like large wolves that walked on two legs. They had thick fur and intelligent eyes. They have a problem similar to what we had, Crowl explained. Their young need calm environments to develop properly, but their species is always moving, always hunting. They heard about our success with humans and asked to join the program. Lisa looked at the image with interest. And you want me to help? Yes. We need humans who understand how to work with alien young. You have more experience than anyone. Lisa thought about it. She was older now, but the idea of helping another species, of continuing what she had started with Crowl, made her feel excited. I'll do it, she said. 1 week later, Lisa stood with Crowl at the new interspecies center near her town. The building was much bigger and nicer than the old facilities from 20 years ago. Inside were areas designed for many different types of aliens. The Valkyrie ship landed softly on the pad outside. When the doors opened, out came creatures that looked like a mix between wolves and people. They walked on two legs and wore simple clothes, but had fur covering their bodies and long snouts with sharp teeth. The leader of the Valkyrie approached. Her fur was silver gray, and she carried a small cub in her arms. The cub had fluffy black fur and big ears that twitched nervously. I am Pack Leader Raya, the Valkyrie said. We come seeking help for our young. Crowl stepped forward and greeted her in the formal Dracorian way. Then he introduced Lisa. This is Lisa Bennett, who taught my people how to work with humans. She will help create the program for your cubs. Raya looked at Lisa with interest. You are smaller than I expected, but Crowl speaks highly of your wisdom. Over the next few months, more alien species came to Earth. After the Valkyrie came the Marosians, who looked like large sea creatures with many arms. Then came others with names humans could barely pronounce. Each species had different needs for their young. Lisa worked with scientists and caregivers to create programs for each one. Some young aliens needed special food or temperatures. Others needed certain sounds or movements to feel safe. What they all shared was the need for calm. Nurturing care something humans were especially good at providing. One day, 5 years after the new program began, Lisa visited the main interspecies nursery. The huge room had areas for young ones from 12 different species. Human caregivers moved among them, along with adult aliens who were learning human nurturing methods. In one corner, a human man sang softly to a Valkyrie cub. In another, a Dracorian adult gently helped a human child build with blocks. Near the window, a Morosian floated in a water tank, while a human woman read stories to its young. Lisa watched it all with wonder. When she first met Crowl as a sick cub in her house, she never imagined it would lead to this, a place where the young of many worlds learned and grew together. Crowl found her there and stood beside her. "What do you think, Lisa, mother?" Lisa smiled. Up at him. "I think this is just the beginning." Later that evening, Crowl invited Lisa to a special ceremony. He had built a new home near the center, and today was the naming day for his first clutch of eggs. In Dracorian tradition, the highest honor was to name a cub after someone who shaped your life. When the eggs were brought out, glowing softly in their heated container, Crowl placed his hand on the first one. "This one," he said to the gathered crowd of both Dracorians and humans, "will be named Lisa, after the human who taught me that strength comes in many forms." The Dracorians present pounded their chest plates in approval. Lisa felt tears in her eyes as she touched the egg gently. "Thank you," she whispered. Crowl looked out at the stars visible through the ceiling window. "Our people once conquered worlds. Now we help raise the young of a dozen species, and they help raise ours. This is a better kind of strength, I think." Lisa nodded. "The best kind,"